Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one more, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
That's right. It's like spending a weekend at your rich aunt and uncle's house. Mom and dad aren't here to tell you to eat your vegetables or anything like that. We're just going to have fun. Who wants a milkshake?
You guys want milkshakes?
Yeah. Milkshakes all around.
No?
It's kind of early.
9:01 Eastern.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're trying to have fun over here.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we're offering milkshake. Mike, do you want a green juice? We have that too. We have a fully stocked fridge
So
and
much
a fridge
green
in the
juice.
garage.
So much green juice here.
No, man, we got so much to talk about. Obviously, the Ice Cats being a game away from the Stanley Cup return. And maybe this time, vengeance is thine, right? We also got the Mavericks. They are going to the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Kyrie Irving, the reunion with Boston. Let's sage that up. We got a
But first.
No, I mean, no, for real, though. Like, I know everyone thinks Dan's not here, so we're going to skip the topics, the serious topics, right? We're just going to have fun here. But there is nutrition here because something huge happened yesterday.
Massive.
Everyone's talking about it.
Everyone.
And if I might be so bold, someone took a major L.
Yeah.
And we're going to
This was yesterday. I would say it was historic. I think it was historic. I don't know that we've ever seen something like this happen.
Was it a historic day or an historic day?
I always
I always
an
have a
historic
problem
day.
with that.
It was an
I'm
historic day because you're a fancy aunt and uncle.
Well, there you go. I always say a historic day because the H is not silent unless there's some core blimey
What
type
H?
chap.
What H is there an A or day?
Historic.
Oh, historic.
Yeah.
Got it. The H is silent?
For them over there across the pond,
And
A historic.
an historic day, ain't it?
no, I think
yeah, that's why they say an historic, but it's a historic because the H isn't silent.
What? Depends on what kind of British accent we're talking about.
Oh, I'm talking in it.
Oh, if you're talking, yeah.
I like
That
Chris Cody's rules of grammar. Chris, can you just tell us
Well,
tell everyone what you
I don't
just
understand.
said?
And history is an H. Like the
But
way
it's
I've
silent, apparently.
the way I've grown and
History.
lived is a vowel
It's-
gets the N.
Exactly, but over there because they don't pronounce the H in history, they historic, ain't it?
So we can just use N whenever we want.
No.
If
I
it-
think here H. I think anything with an H is an. Like,
And
what's
hockey
another word that
game
starts
last
with an
night.
H?
It's
And
been an honor.
Never mind.
Guys, come on.
What are we?
This
what
has
is
been bad.
An hockey team.
Also, across the pond, they call it H.
That's true.
And Z.
It's been an honor.
Yeah, an honor is probably
Oh,
the
it's
best
a
example.
No, ain't it?
It's a colon and a
Been on a-
semicolon is just,
I do like a semicolon.
But I
Guys,
feel like a
guys.
semicolon's more than a colon,
All
right?
right, guys,
Semi implies it'd be less than,
I gotta wrangle this.
but it's larger than a colon. A colon is 2 dots, but a semicolon's a dot and the little comma, which is larger. But semi implies to me smaller.
we got to get to this. We've
Sorry.
filibustered long enough. I'm of course talking about the Darren Waller video.
I haven't seen someone take an L like that in a long time, folks.
Holy shit.
Did you guys see this? The Darren Waller
So
video?
to set it up, Darren Waller is a football player. He used to be married to Kelsey Plum, the WNBA player. They had a divorce about a month ago.
Yes, and Kelsey posted this when the divorce, she announced it. She said, "I'm devastated. I walked through fire for that man, but now I see it's time to go. God has given me an incredible life, and I'm truly so grateful for the profound love from my family and friends. One day I'll share my story. Today is not that day. Thank you for the grace to process my pain, to forgive and move forward. Today and every day, I will continue to choose joy." And Darren released a statement of his own in the form of a music video. Can we play some of that?
Life. It's hard to love. It's hard to be free. It's hard to give all of your soul and have your heart broken in return, but it's time. Take your time ahead. Just take a time out and feel.
This is something I could definitely see Kenny Powers doing for April, right?
Yes.
Just a whole music video. I love the fake Kelsey Plum also.
The fake Kelsey Plum is the most egregious part, I would argue.
Is it?
Well, it's all pretty
The
bad.
singing is pretty egregious.
I haven't heard someone rely on auto-tune like that.
Are you sure he's using it?
Good point, Chris. Maybe he's just has amazing vocal control.
Did they live in a trailer in the middle of a field?
It was Vegas.
On
so.
a beach also?
Finish the sentence, Char. You haven't heard auto-tune like that since the Big Game musical.
Thank you for finishing the sentence. No, I mean, it's one thing for T-Pain to do it, but he's actually an unbelievable musician.
And
It's another
singer.
thing for Darren Waller.
I'm trying to think of the thought process, right?
Did he
Like-
break up with a Jeep? What is this?
Yeah, she's driving down the road in a yellow Jeep, and he's
Slowly.
singing
It does
to
kind
her.
of sound like Post. If that Post were like post-traumatic.
Well done.
Wow, zing.
The thing that I just don't understand is how many people had to be involved in the creation of this that at no point told him, buddy, you got to stop. You can't do this.
He doesn't look sad while singing about heartbreak.
Kind of.
Like he's smirking the whole time. He looks happy.
Can we play the end, though?
Yeah, the ending.
The
it
end
gets-
is what we really need to talk
Most people
about.
didn't see the ending because they usually.
I almost
exit
didn't
it
watch
out.
it all the way through, and I was like, let me see what this is about, and I'm glad I did, because they're on a beach. He puts his arm around her. They're both wearing white. It's like a Christmas
which is a
card
big tell.
photo.
Like if you're a wrestling fan, if there's an in-ring promo where both people are wearing white, you know there's going to be blood.
For
Really?
real?
Oh yeah, huge tell.
Oh!
She stabs him in the back, folks, with what looks
What do you
like
think he's
a
going for
fishing
there?
knife, like a cheese knife.
Ass on?
What's the symbolism? No, you would think it's ass on here because he's dead lying on the shore. But then a pesky wave comes and interferes with his face, and he's supposed to lie still, but he just reacts to it.
He blinks and like spits water out.
So on Cinephobe, we did this movie called Fallen with Denzel Washington and John Goodman. And in the scene, Denzel's brother dies. But Zach swears that the corpse is breathing. And he says it's pretty much the only thing you have to nail when you're playing dead is you can't be breathing.
No, that's sort of the hallmark of being dead
Yes.
is that you're not breathing.
You're not breathing.
This feels like big wide receiver energy to me, but Darren Waller's a tight end. What do we think, folks?
This is, oh, wow.
Those worlds have merged.
Similar?
Have we reached that point where wide receivers and
We
tight
used to
ends
live
are-
in a country where wide receiver meant something.
Just check fantasy drafts. I mean, they're merged.
Check
How-
the salaries,
little
though.
slash?
He's getting stabbed in the back going to affect his fantasy stock. You know what I mean?
It really changes the narrative, though, because he's implying that he was stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
And that was not the narrative
yeah.
going into this.
But-
He was definitely the big winner yesterday of the Trump verdict because
Oh, the Trump verdict
I
came in?
I just completely forgot about this.
Yeah, all 34 of them.
I think I saw it after, so this is what imprinted on me.
By the way,
This was a reaction to the Trump verdict.
this was Waller's actual Instagram caption announcing that this video was coming. On February 3rd, I felt a strong conviction to do something different. I'd never written a song from the perspective of someone else until this. There's something extremely valuable and quite humbling, LOL, about putting yourself in the shoes of those you have been intimate with and taking an honest look at yourself. The only result possible is growth.
Wait. So is he saying that he in this situation is Kelsey Plum?
Yes.
So he stabbed her in the back.
So-
And that's what he's
But wait,
saying here.
No,
Why wouldn't you act
You guys
that
are
out?
burying the lead. That was from February. This is the byproduct of several months of work.
Well, the
What-
music industry takes a long time.
The song he wrote, the song came out a while ago. The video just came out. So the video was several months
We
ago.
wrote that musical in 7 days.
Did you? Did you have a video? Did you shoot something on the beach, though? I feel like weather
We
played a part
but that
here.
took a few months.
Yeah. See?
The name of the song is Who Knew? Her Perspective.
Oh, well, I guess the optics of him stabbing the fake Kelsey Plum in the back on the beach would not have been great.
Chess, not checkers.
Wait.
But now the metaphor is very muddied.
Yeah. I'm confused. Lucy,
Whoa.
you're shaking your head.
Men should just not speak for women ever. This is just so bad. I would do anything to have been in the room with Kelsey Plum yesterday when her phone started blowing up. They're like, "You got to see this." Just the vindication she must have felt.
Here's the thing, though. Even sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to talk over that. Sorry,
You kept talking,
sorry.
though.
Listen, here's the thing. Even if you are no longer with this man, this is very embarrassing because you once were with this man. If I'm Kelsey Plum, I would have been like, because you want to think that she saw it and laughed and was like, oh, I really came out the winner in this thing. But she still had to be like, yes, we were married. That is my ex-husband. Men are embarrassing. Sorry.
She also had that like cringy popcorn like meme that was going around, and I'm wondering if this is now blowing that. Like now we've forgotten about that. Because like I was just imagining her watching it like as that popcorn thing, which was like not the best.
Maybe she was, though.
Ice Cats.
Yeah. So we're all right. No Trump. Yeah, I'll wait.
Oh, wait.
I'll wait on the Trump stuff. Yeah,
I got
hockey.
some homework.
And hockey game happened last night.
Hockey game?
Yeah, very exciting hockey game, especially if you're a Panthers fan. The Panthers are a win away from reaching back-to-back Stanley Cup finals.
Yeah.
Back-to-back, Jack. And I thought New York played really well. Their top six, they came out firing. That's the best that their top six has looked. Panarin, I thought, was especially frisky in the first period. But the story of the entire series is Florida's much better, 5-on-5. And they grew into the game. Shesterkin was once again incredible. I think Florida kind of got a little lucky in this game. Even though I'm admitting they were the better team, there's been a lot of luck, I think, on the New York side. Even though they don't want to see that, they've scored some absolute worldies. They've actually played a pretty good series from the point of view of if you're going into that series thinking that you're not as good as Florida was. And I don't think that this is their mindset, but let's just say they realized that quickly in game one. Okay, our identity is our goalie's going to save our ass by being a world beater. We're going to get shorthanded goals because we have this impenetrable blue line on the penalty kill. Really great weapon for them. And we're going to score worldies. They've been that the entire series, and that is how you steal a series away from a better team. Yet Florida just appears to be that much better so far.
Shesterkin, though, is just that. It's crazy how great he's been, and we're still up in this series. Usually, the way he's played in this series, even with how well the Panthers have played, usually the Rangers are up in this series in hockey. And I feel great being able to be up 3-2 right now because Shesterkin has been amazing.
It's not often that you get this far where the other, like Florida hasn't had a goalie advantage in my mind in any of these series. And I think even though Bob had really good moments yesterday, there were a lot of big, juicy rebounds again. And I know the ice quality, both teams play on the ice, so I always kind of find that a weird explanation. But there were some very fortunate moments there for Florida where a big, juicy rebound would be there for a New York Rangers player, and it'd hop over their stick. And also, I got to tell you, I think the Panthers got a gift from the Stripes. That should have been a 5-on-3. That was a very weak roughing call on Mikkola.
Against my better judgment, what is a worldie?
An all-world goal. Like that's a soccer term. You don't really hear it.
Is it?
Like you hear bar down as a term when someone shoots from bar down, and it just like it's an impossible angle. And New York's had a lot of worldies so far in this series, but that is also a team that has scored 2 goals at home so far, and that is not what their reputation was entering this. It's almost as if they fell victim to what happened in that Carolina series, where they were just so great on the power play that they're just waiting around on the fringes for Florida to make a mistake. I've listened to quite a few Rangers podcasts, and they're like, isn't this the most penalized team in the NHL? Well, 2 things happen. They call the games a little bit differently in the postseason, and also Florida is a lot more disciplined. They're not playing the same guys that would get all the penalties for them. They're playing a more disciplined game, but it's almost as if they're waiting around hoping that they'll get the power play to not stretch their defense. And I got to say, crash the net, make some things happen over here. It is really frustrating if you're a New York Rangers fan to see no bodies in front of Sergei Bobrovsky when he's giving up these big rebounds. I'd be really frustrated.
I'm just glad you didn't say worldies nuts when I asked what a worldies song.
The Panthers' power kill to me has been the difference because all we talked about coming into the series was how great the Rangers' power play was. So the power kill for the Panthers has been the difference, I think.
How does it feel? My fault, Charlotte, but how does it feel? Because last year it felt like this is a Cinderella story, this team making an improbable run. And it's like, you know the feeling of your team, hey, we didn't expect to be here, but now we're here. Oh, my God, we could go all the way.
Now we're the deep roster.
Now you're the team. You're the guys now. This isn't Cinderella. This is...
Dallas would be a deeper, I think there are 3 teams that could lay claim to maybe deepest team in the league. Mm-hmm. Florida, Dallas, who's still alive, and Vegas, who Dallas beat in 7 games in the first round, are all pretty deep. That'd be a really interesting series from a depth perception perspective, and also
from a depth perception perspective.
I would think Dallas would also have the goalie advantage too if that were the series. Skinner for Edmonton would probably be the one lone time that Florida has a goalie advantage in this entire playoff.
Skinner,
man, I was looking up because I do want to go to a final game if we make it. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I was looking at flights. Edmonton's far, huh?
Don't know where it is.
It's like 8. I'm seeing a lot of 8+ hours.
I know it's in
on these
Canada.
flights.
You want to guess a province?
Can we do the map bit with Charlotte that we tried to do with Dan when we wanted him to name the states in the Midwest? Can we do it with states in the Midwest too?
Yeah, we can.
This would be fun.
Oh, it's embarrassing because this is a bit that Jess and I have had going back years, multiple, at least 5 years. And in that time, knowing that I don't know what the states in the middle of the country are, I have not thought to maybe study. Or maybe I should learn them. Maybe if we do this again, partly because I think the bit is so much funnier when I just don't know them.
Video team, get a completely empty map of North America.
I'm about to get
and put it on the LED screen.
Do we get to see the borders at least?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, then this should be easy. This should be
well, for you.
That would be a weird map without them.
Maps?
No.
Hear me out.
You could have just a map of the U.S.
You know what? No borders. Let's
No,
just do
what?
blank North America.
I can't do that.
But then you just point to an area.
One
and you'd be
border
like,
at
There's
least.
Arizona.
One wall, please. No.
One border.
I feel like maps for me are a lot like math.
Wow.
Does that make sense to anybody else?
They both start with
Go
math.
No, because
It's
there
in
are-
Alberta.
That doesn't help me. Wait, are we doing Canada?
Well,
also?
Edmonton is in Canada.
No,
Yeah.
I know, but I know that Edmonton is in Canada. Are we doing the Canada map thing and the Midwest map thing?
Whatever you want to do.
Do you know
Charlotte.
Canada?
Do you know the provinces of Canada?
We
British.
should have you both point where you think Edmonton is. I
got
think
it.
that would be.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull up.
Amin knows where it is.
I know where it is. I know where Edmonton is because I am, as
man-
everyone knows, a man of culture
And the world.
and the world, and particularly Canada. I love you, Canada. Where's my camera? I love you, Canada.
Why?
Because they're awesome up there. They're so nice
Yeah.
and so clean. And sometimes they do blackface on their prime minister, but that's a completely different story for another time.
But aside
Is
from that,
Drake their prime
this is
minister?
good.
One last thing on hockey, because
Definitely
I don't want to hog this, and I appreciate the Vine with the cast of Oddball here, but I'm pretty excited about the NBA Finals. But it does feel like Gustav Forsling is finally getting national attention for his play, and this is with him making an uncharacteristically bad play that Florida ended up surviving, but you're seeing what he can do on offense. Jovo and then Mark Messier on the national broadcast has compared this guy to Nick Lidstrom. He is an incredible player. He is locked in at an absurd $5 million annually. They've
You think
locked
he was
him up.
regretting that yet?
Dude,
He's
when
having a great playoffs, and he signed that right before the playoffs started.
When Nurse is pulling down $12 million next season, Forsling right now, for my money, is probably the leader for Conn Smythe, which is the most outstanding player of the playoffs. He does a lot of things that don't show up in the stat sheet. There was one penalty kill in particular where he just did so well to close off passing lanes by contorting his body and stretching out his stick. This is a New York Rangers team that has to start putting pucks on Bob, because a big part of Bob's weakness are those rebounds. Crash the net and put some pucks on, for the love of God.
Pucks on Bob sounds like, you know that children's book, Hop on Pop?
No, I don't.
Well,
I do.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you giving the Rangers advice right now?
Yeah, I kind of got frustrated listening to New York Rangers podcast because they were just complaining about officiating. I'm like, I get that with the last series, and that was like a whole thing. I don't really see that here. But teams that are so dependent on the power play, and we saw this with Tampa Bay, they just want more of them. They want more advantages. It's not really a story. To me, like, you had odd man rushes. There was a 3-on-2 where the centerman pulled to where the puck handling winger was against the boards. Go to the net, New York. Maybe they don't want to because they don't trust their defense. And truth be told, they have a pretty big injury with Adam Fox. We'll probably find out after the playoffs. He's got like
a broken leg or
major
something.
damage to his
classic
knee.
Hockey.
Yeah,
like a shattered femur.
Yeah, his
parenthetically
both of his legs
lower
fell off
body.
and they taped him on.
Yeah, but he is truly hurt. He does not look like that. He's only had 7 points this postseason. I do think that one matters, but overall, Florida's a better team.
The enthusiasm with which Mike talks about the Stanley Cup playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Stanley Cup playoff.
Yeah, it's because is the whole thing the Stanley Cup Finals or just the finals?
The finals is the Stanley Cup Finals.
But what do they call the entire?
The Stanley Cup Final, NBA
right.
Finals, NHL Final, Stanley Cup Final.
But what do they call the entire playoffs? They don't just call it playoffs.
NHL playoff.
Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup playoff.
It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. They call it that for the entire thing, not just the final, right? But the enthusiasm
It's
with
also
which
confusing like that with the World Cup too, where like.
Yes.
What most people think is the beginning of the tournament is actually the finals.
Yes.
Like the group stage is considered the World Cup finals because it's a 2-year process.
Yes, but the final is the one where someone actually wins.
Right.
That's just to make the crappy teams feel better.
Speaking of words, I love how confidently hockey fans pronounce the names of players on all of the teams. Because there's a moment when these guys come into the league where everyone's like, how do we say that? And then the way Mike's just rattling off these names.
There's a lot of difficult ones, and
Yeah,
it's
and you're
not like
doing a
I
great
figured it
job.
out on my own. It's because I was pronouncing it like Cheadle for a long time before I found out it was like Heedle.
Yeah. I just think it's nice to.
We have a little update here. We have a map.
Okay.
We're going to put it up for Charlotte. Will go first.
Okay.
You don't have to be. It's like GeoGuessr.
Wait,
Do we
wait,
want
Get
to do
as
this?
close as you can.
Do we want to do this right now or wait till after the break? It's up to you guys. How
I
long
think
does this gonna
let's preview it. Don't do it yet, but just keep
There
it
are
on the
no
board.
borders there.
I want people to take a
Close
look
her
at what we're
laptop,
working
I mean.
with. I don't have
She's
a
gonna
laptop.
cheat.
Oh,
Art
her
imitating
laptop.
life.
There you go. Good call. So, for the audio listeners, what they have on our LED screen behind us is a massive blank map of the U.S. and Canada. Now, there are borders, Charlotte. Can show you, what is it called, the 48
No Mexico,
parallel?
huh?
Yeah, I know there's the border between
But the
America
Great
and
Lakes
Canada.
took
but
over part of Canada.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
Wait, how did Cuba crack this?
Yeah.
But not Mexico.
Or
Well-
Hawaii.
Lewis, did you draw
found
this?
the map.
It's pretty good freehand. to
I
be
mean,
honest.
Greenland is in this image.
Let me get you a Sharpie so you
But
can
not
highlight
Mexico.
where Edmonton is.
I think I see the dinosaur from Rugrats up top there somewhere.
How am I
Reptar?
supposed to do this without any lines telling me where stuff is?
Well, there's a line telling you where USA ends and Canada begins.
You see
I
Greenland?
think Charlotte will be fairly generous if you're
Yeah.
in the ballpark because I don't think we know exactly
okay,
where it
great.
is either.
Okay, so this is actually to my advantage.
The ignorance,
Ballpark it.
Are the
ignorance
Great
The
of
ignorance of
group.
everybody in this room.
Are the Great Lakes international water? Do they belong to the U.S. or Canada?
Yeah, there's like a border that goes between one of them, right? Like
Oh.
Yeah, the northernmost one, which I think is Superior.
Lake Superior.
Why are the lakes not on that map?
That's
Well,
a
why
great
aren't the lakes
question.
part of America then?
Charlotte,
Jack?
can you find the beach that Darren Waller recorded that music
Yes,
video?
that I can do. I don't know where Edmonton is, but I do know where Darren Waller recorded that.
It's
Feels
Green-
like Florida.
no.
Greenland being on that map just reminds me to tell you all that Greenland applied for CONCACAF.
But they're not even a country.
They applied for CONCACAF.
What are they?
They belong to Denmark.
Really?
Yeah, Greenland.
They were
belongs-
shut out of UEFA because I guess you have to have a certain number of facilities.
Yeah.
So they have applied to CONCACAF.
But they're not even a.
They're not even a country.
They're an autonomous territory.
Remember when Donald Trump was like, let's just buy Greenland?
I mean, look.
That was one of the that's one of those spitballs that let's hear
Yeah,
let's
let's
hear my
hear
guy
him
out.
Let's see where he's going with this one.
I like the cut of his jib on
Can't
this
be
one.
more ridiculous than Alaska, really.
What's that?
It's not more ridiculous than Alaska.
We already
have
It's just like from a
Alaska.
military strategic standpoint, you do the same things with Greenland that you did with Alaska. You can see Russia from there.
You can.
I
Shout out
don't.
to
Where
Sarah
is
Palin.
it?
Well, not on that map.
Yeah, Russia's not on that map.
On that
Oh.
map, Russia doesn't
We
exist.
you
should
sure?
get Russia on that map. Canada and Russia. Looks hard as love.
We're going to talk about the NBA Finals in a second, but first we got to get to the bottom of this map situation. So, Charlotte, you had a whole little segment break there to focus in all of your energy.
I didn't cheat. I didn't open my computer. I sat here staring into the void because I know that I'm about to embarrass myself.
I did open my computer because I wanted to know about the Great Lakes. Lake Michigan is the only Great Lake entirely in the United States. Wow. And that's my home lake.
There it
so
is.
That's
I like
special to
Lake
me.
Michigan.
Do people? I was in Chicago for the pre-draft camp.
Great Lake.
What do I do with this?
Draw on the board.
No,
I can draw on the board?
Yeah,
No,
it's a-
don't
let's
listen
not
to
do
me.
that.
Billy!
Christ.
Oh,
Billy,
you're
just
trying to get me fired.
Man,
Oh, that's
give you
diabolical.
a dry erase
That is-
marker for a video board.
That's dry erase.
Yeah.
The marker.
Someone Google, can you dry erase a video board?
Don't go.
Okay, that's a no from the video team, so no, Charlotte. Throw that marker.
What do
away.
they know?
That would have been...
Ask
If
the
you
board
guys hadn't
team.
told me that would have been an unbelievable content
That's what
moment.
Billy was
That would have been an
counting on.
expensive moment of content.
I was in Chicago for the pre-draft camp, Jessica, and my hotel was overlooking the lake, and I saw that there's a little kind of like beach kind of area. Do people actually go and swim?
Oh yeah. Growing up, we used to swim. There's
Like it's a
there's
beach?
a bunch of beaches. Yeah. Oak Street Beach is really popular. The North Avenue Beach, and Charlotte and I, when we went, actually Charlotte, segue here, because yesterday HBO announced that the Bears are going to be on Hard Knocks, and their promotional
Oh, I thought you meant for a
image-
second. I thought you meant the bear, like the TV
The
show,
show
was
is
going to
gonna
be
be on
That would
Hard
also be
Knocks.
great. The promotional image had the bean, but it was photoshopped, and it was the shape of a football, and it was awesome. And Charlotte and I went to Chicago. We did a video with Julie Ertz, probably 6 years ago now.
Yes.
And I took her to the bean, and she didn't know what the bean was. And oh my, Charlotte's reaction to the bean was just, her mind was blown.
I had to sit down. I started hyperventilating. There was something really magical about the bean. I can't explain
What?
it. I can't
She
explain
started crying at the bean.
I did not cry.
You teared up. I have pictures of it on my phone.
Jess is coming with receipts today. This is dangerous.
You know, when Julie fell and scraped her knee, Juliet's every time in it.
I'm not.
Charlotte, get up, walk to the board.
What am I doing?
Leave the marker.
Take your marker.
Leave the marker.
Yeah.
Leave the marker. You're going to walk to this board, and you're going to try to point out. First of all, let's start with some softballs before we go right to the tough stuff.
Ooh,
Right?
a laser pointer would crush her.
A laser pointer would have been awesome, but you know what? All right, where is Miami on this map, Charlotte?
All right.
Should we give her maybe posted notes, stickies?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, she has pointed to the bottom
Yes.
tip of Florida. That's great.
That was more Port St. Lucie, but it was good. It was
I'm
a good
just trying to
guess.
describe this for the podcast listeners.
Got it. All right.
She pointed to Port St. Lucie.
All right.
You
now,
should have pointed to Cuba. Truthfully, that's a better
Charlotte.
gag.
Charlotte Wilder, you live in New York City. Where is New York City on this map? Oh, and now you've got a microphone and some Post-it notes. Look at that. We're
Oh,
the
microphone's
show.
off.
No. I can't
Oh, there
put.
you
That's too final. I like where I can sort of point and.
Okay.
Is this working? Can you guys?
Yes.
hear
Yeah,
me?
we
Yeah.
can we can hear you just
Oh,
fine. How
folks, welcome.
how much,
to the Charlotte Wilder
can you
Variety
grab your
Hour.
headphones? Let's see how far those things can
She
stretch.
can't hear us. You should probably
She-
put your headphones
Hold
in.
on, they're taking her in a headset.
Well,
there.
it's all right.
Wireless.
No. They're going to
No,
get you a headset.
they got
They're
you.
going to get you a
Wow.
headset.
This
You-
is a professional operation.
I just
folks.
need you to point out where New York City is as they get you a headset right now. Shout out to GQ.
Oh, wow, thank you so much, GQ.
There it is. So Charlotte's putting on her headset. She's got her wireless mic.
I feel
can
like
now-
I'm an auctioneer. I'm like, and
And
Do
point
they,
to
do
Hawaii.
they wear headsets?
I don't know, Chris.
If you were an auctioneer, how much do you think Greenland would go for?
At least $50.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico didn't make this, and they're
can get
actually
it.
a part of the U.S.
I can get it for 25.
Well, they'd be off the map.
Well,
Puerto
I mean,
Rico's
but
way out
Cuba
there.
is there and Hawaii isn't.
Yeah.
Quick little thing here. This map, I'm going to say, might not have been the best choice for this because we've got a situation here. I know this is Maine.
That's where you're from. That was my
Nice.
next
Maine,
Good job.
yeah, Maine usually isn't tilted this way. It's and so
A
this
little more erect than usual.
this I think this is Cape Cod and I think that this is Long Island, but that is not really how close together those things are.
Well
IRL.
done, Charlotte. So far, so good. You have that's
Yeah, because I'm
nuance.
on the East Coast.
Okay, that's why-
Don't move me inland.
That's why these are softballs. All right, let's one last East Coast one. Where is Washington D.C., our nation's capital? She's pointing
Like here?
Oh, that's more
A
Baltimore.
little north.
How is everybody seeing what this map is?
Because I see where Long Island is. and
Okay,
I-
so if Long Island's here,
Yeah.
what is that?
that's Maryland. That's where Baltimore
This
is.
is objectively
Yeah.
a bad map.
It's a terrible map.
This is good for me though.
All right.
Actually, DC is like
So the Dallas Mavericks are going to the NBA Finals to play against your Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Dallas?
Here.
Oof.
Mid Texas?
No, actually.
Just do more general
Texas.
pointing.
Dallas is in Texas.
it's in
Everybody
Texas.
knows that.
You
That
were
is
kind
a
of pointing
fact.
to San Antonio.
Dallas
Yeah.
is in Texas, though.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen an Australian map?
Yes, I
Google
have.
Australian map.
Like a map of Australia?
No, like an Australian
'Cause they're the
version
center
of
of
the
it?
map. Yeah, you got to look it up.
Oh, it's
I
inverted.
You
see
got to
what you
look up
mean.
an Australian map,
cool.
and then we should do this on an Australian map. 'Cause
I
then
think-
things will get fun.
Do you guys ever look at the maps where they adjust the countries based off of their actual size? Oh my God, it
Yes.
will blow your mind. Canada, not that big.
Guys,
No.
Alaska's
Pangea,
huge.
am I right?
Overrated.
Oh,
Crazy.
Stick them all
Pangea.
together.
You know,
Crazy.
Pangea, if you go to Maine, if anyone ever goes to Maine, on the coast of Maine, there are rocks that match up to the coast of Portugal.
Wow. And if you
I
put them
did not know
together
that.
like a
Hard to check
puzzle,
that.
it would fit.
Yeah, Google it, Chris.
Wow.
So Charlotte,
Are you guys worried that like we're gonna spread too far apart and then crash into each other on the other end?
terrified of it every single day.
Constantly,
Yeah,
Billy. We're
I
moving.
worry about it if like today's the day we crash.
Tectonic plates?
Oh, not
cool.
a fan.
Top
well,
five plate?
not a fan.
They make-
Top five plate. Tectonic. Those floured ones that your grandmother has, and also is that like hip new restaurants?
Yeah.
Hot plates.
Hot plates, nice.
Plates in the gym.
Yeah.
Spinning a lot of plates in the air if you're busy.
Red
Where's
Panda.
Edmonton?
Yes.
Huh.
Well, I
Great
was trying to
filibuster,
gently lead her there.
We're
but
gonna
you
get
guys
there. Yeah, don't
kept
worry.
wanting to
What's
talk
the
about
rush?
plates and stuff. By the way, the University of North Texas is in Dallas, so Dallas would be in northern Texas.
This is helpful.
Well, wait a
This is-
second. The University of South Florida is in Tampa.
Yeah.
Look, man,
Yeah.
it's Florida though.
And I know where Tampa is for sure.
Charlotte, where is Chicago on this map? Where your good friend Jess claims to be from, among other places.
So this map is sort of throwing me off. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't really know what's going on here.
There's
Get
no
an
oven
Australian
mitt.
map. Yeah.
I want to say Chicago's here.
No.
Here.
Better, yes. It's
What
it's,
is this? Isn't
that's
there a lake?
Like,
I need
pretty
the
sure
lakes.
that's Lake
Lake
Erie.
I
Erie.
need the lakes.
That's Lake Erie.
You're
Lake Erie.
pointing to a Cleveland-ish
Yeah.
area.
That's it. Why don't
If
we
there's a
have
lake,
any other
look for the
lakes?
mistake near it.
Nice.
There is no
I don't
glove
get it.
or oven mitt. That's true.
Yeah, the
That's
oven mitt like makes
very
it
missing.
unlocks the entire map for me.
Did
Do
you know that?
okay, can everyone level with me for a second? Do you look at this map and you're like, oh yeah, I for sure know where stuff is?
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that someone's
Yeah.
playing a joke on
No,
us.
no.
And I fell for one of these things on social media. It's like Americans don't even know what this country is. And it was a country that was like sandwiched between England and France. And I was like, what the hell
Belgium.
is this? Yeah. Oh, is that a real place?
Did you know East Carolina University's in North Carolina?
Yeah, it's not
How-
in East
I mean,
Carolina.
There should be in East Carolina.
Wow.
It's not
right.
even that eastern. It's like closer to the middle of the state. It's in Greenville. Terrible
I've
town,
been
by
to
the way.
Greenville.
Where is it on the map? Show us where you went.
Charlotte, let's move north of the
You
border.
know, not bad. Your
Here.
middle finger is not that far from it.
If I put my hand sort of wide enough on the map.
Charlotte, let's move north of the border. Do you
Okay.
know where Vancouver is?
Yes.
Where's Vancouver?
That's how you play
She
the game.
literally
Pointed
just
to Canada.
spread her hand across the entirety of Canada.
That's
It's
how you
on
play
the
the game.
western side.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
western side of
Vancouver
Canada.
might be the actual easiest city
The
to
easiest-
point out
Yeah.
on this map.
Yes, absolutely.
Their
That one?
logo has orcas on it, which would imply they're on the water.
Ha.
Vancouver.
Well,
Isolate
they are, I
that
know
sound,
they're on
please.
the water. I'm pointing to the end of the land.
You're at Alaska right
Yeah.
now, and that's not it.
This is a
Yes, that's Alaska
Oh,
right there.
so like here.
Yes, it's,
Yeah, the general Cascadia region.
Sort of more south than Alaska.
yes, it is actually right across the border from the United States on the western coast of.
Someone should get them an NBA team.
Yeah, for real. I support that. All right, Charlotte, here comes the $1 million question. Where in Canada is Edmonton? And don't just point to the entirety of Canada.
Is it right here?
Holy shit. That's
She's honestly closer to
that
Edmonton than she was to Vancouver.
absolutely.
I feel like
This
you're
has
in
been a
Saskatchewan
long
right
con.
now.
This has been a long con because I actually do know where Edmonton is.
Oh, yeah?
No. Absolutely not. No idea. But that felt like where it would be if I were to know where it was.
I'd give that like a B minus.
So where is it?
A
Directly.
little bit. Take a couple steps to your right. Yeah, right around there. Just draw a circle around that area, and you
With the
got it.
marker?
They're about.
No, not with the marker.
Yeah, so like right.
Do not
See if it works.
Do not do that.
Yeah, but it's true, right? What your friend Priya sent you, that it's the longest possible distance for a Stanley Cup final, Edmonton.
No way.
In Florida.
Because Florida's the most southernmost NHL franchise, and Edmonton is the
Yeah,
most
I was
northern.
improperly guessing like maybe Vancouver, Florida would be, but no, when you consider how north Edmonton is, the distance is greater.
So, question: how does one fly there? Are there direct flights from?
On a plane.
A lot of Denver connects through
Yeah.
my research.
There are no direct flights out of Miami ever, anywhere.
Yeah. Sorry.
There are to hub cities.
Yeah.
Miami to Dallas, that'd be a good one.
That'll be a good one for sure. You know what else will be a good one? Dallas to Boston.
Ooh.
And that's going to
Ooh,
be happening.
speak to it.
Yeah.
Should I do? I feel really powerful doing the show. This is like when you do plays for your parents as a child
Yeah.
with a real mic and actual people listening.
This is actually appropriate to talk about the NBA Finals, considering that the Earth appears flat.
Is Dallas having the month now that Miami had last June?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The year that Miami had last year, because remember, the Texas Rangers won the World Series. So,
Well,
this is
the
all,
Marlins,
like,
yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, Miami also got messy in the middle of that, and we made the League's Cup actually
Well, you guys-
matter.
You
just
guys are
because
pretty
we were
clean.
so starved for a victory.
the League's Cup. That crock.
What a great
The
competition.
the greatest thing that the Dallas Mavericks did for me was to not only wrap up that series, but to blow them out so that I didn't have to pay attention to too many details.
I was on TikTok for the entirety of the fourth quarter until the last 2 minutes when I listened to see what nice things people were
You can
saying.
flip over to ESPN and watch David Sampson celebrate the game-winning goal.
No.
Why was he on ESPN?
What?
Well, he was captured, and our social media has it. I was watching live, and I did like the Leo point because
Same.
after we scored what essentially was the game winner, the Sam Bennett empty netter, right? They cut to the crowd.
I think it might have been the 2-1 goal.
David Sampson was in the crowd.
Do we have this video?
It's great. It's going to be more B-roll that we can talk over.
Oh,
but
So was this a Lundell?
Oh, my God.
Oh,
right, it was the Bennett goal. It was up
Yeah.
3-1. To the
Where it was
winner.
like, all right, that feels like game's over, even though New York actually scored after this.
Look at
Fans left with like 2 minutes left there.
I hate that. Why do people keep doing that? Stay for the game. You went to the game. The best part is usually the end.
It's a hockey game. You're going to have a man advantage. 2 minutes is an eternity. I don't understand like filtering out that early.
Like, people want to maybe criticize Sampson as like a Johnny-come-lately with the Panthers, but that like he's into it. You could tell. Like, that is the reaction of it was an empty netter too.
Putting
It's a
his
little-
business out there, but that looks like he's there with like someone he cares about. So
More
seems genuine.
more genuine joy. Samson there or Whitty from the other night at the game doing his little soccer dance? It's a
Whitty.
question, guys.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are just nodding. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that Whitty. I'm okay with. I'd rather have Samson doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
than
Whitty.
You
Whitty
feel
was
good about the trade?
disingenuous.
Like the Panthers traded Whitty and got Sampson?
Gross.
Well, when you put it that way, let's go back to thinking it was like just Huberdeau for Kachuk. That's in plain terms, that's like the greatest trade in NHL
Asking the
history.
question.
Don't make me
I
real
like-
Sophie's choice
Samson's
here.
wearing a hockey sweater.
They
That's
call
what
them
the jerseys
sweaters,
are
yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Although it's you don't. It's like an historic and ahistoric. Like both work.
And
It's fine.
historic
Well,
sweater.
does an historic work?
I always thought it was ahistoric, but then Andrew Siciliano said an
Ahistoric.
historic one time on Sunday Ticket, and I was like, wow.
Ahistoric feels like something without history.
Maybe that's why we do it. And historic.
There is an historic photo that I captured of Charlotte crying at the bean that we can put up
You have
on
it?
the screen.
How?
Because I have a
I feel like-
Technology.
I feel like Tom Brady.
my
on-
God.
I feel like Tom Brady on Netflix right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
You are definitely emotional. You are.
She ran
Sorry
around
that
in
I was-
circles around the bean and was so overwhelmed that she teared up.
I'm sorry that I was moved by a piece of art. Sue me.
Look at the reflection.
My hair also looks really good in that.
Disheveled
great
because
photo.
you were running
I
around
was-
the bean crying.
Summertime
Yeah.
shy.
We also got hot dogs that day, so I was already emotional from that.
Chicago hot dogs.
Yeah. And I called Portillo's Portillos.
That's how it should be.
I mean,
They-
double L.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would say we're living in historic times,
And
right?
in historic times.
Double L like Miami last year in the various finals that they were in. So will Dallas fare better is the question here.
So the game,
Yes.
as I said yesterday, Luka was fantastic. 36 points. He scored 20 in the first quarter. He was talking shit to Snoop Dogg, which is always my favorite. When there's a random celebrity who has inserted themselves into the proceedings, that's always great. After the game, they win. They're happy. They get the T-shirts. So you're going to the finals, all that stuff. Luka is in the hallway enjoying an ice-cold adult beverage, right? I'm not going to identify what the brand is. I'm just going to say it comes in a can, right? He's in the hallway, and he's with his dad, and everyone's kind of congratulating him. Nico Harrison, the GM, walks up and congratulates him as well. If you guys hadn't figured out, video team, I'm trying to, filibuster so you guys can get it up on the screen. This video of Luka in the hallway. There it is. And then Michael Finley, who's a VP with the Mavs.
Trying to be smooth.
Yep. Just the look on his the look on Michael Finley's face as he takes the beer away, and then the look on Luka's face as he realizes what's happened.
Now, what do you think is actually happening here? Because the internet's running wild with theories that they don't want Luka drinking beer because his conditioning is called into question. I just think Michael Finley is swiping that beer for himself.
No, I think Finn Dog is doing the old
optics.
The job isn't done, young man. He's doing one of those.
This feels like at my 30th birthday party, my parents were there, and at one point I was holding 2 drinks, and my mom just came up to me and gave me a hug and removed one of them and put it down. This very much has those vibes. It's like, you don't need to be doing this right now, but that's not 2 drinks.
It's definitely a sponsorship.
No, well, that's why I don't think it's that, for a couple reasons. One, the label isn't out. 2, the video isn't. It's not like he's at a podium. That is clearly cell phone footage. But 3, and most importantly, the first guy he daps up, that's the GM. That's Mike Finley's boss.
But he's probably so happy right now that he's not really in the right mind space.
Is that a Guinness?
Yeah, because when we go do our man on the street interviews, I'm always like, put your can down if it's not a beer that advertises with this show. So I think it's sponsorship.
Do you get pushback from people when you tell them to do that?
Sometimes. One time I just straight up had to take it out of somebody's hand.
Really?
And be like, we cannot, I'm not going to use this interview, and if you want to be on camera, you just have to put your beer down.
And they put the beer down?
They put the beer down.
Look at that.
I laid down the law.
Really?
I hate using that tone, but I had to do it.
Look, it was for the betterment of content, which is all we really care about. I also have had to do that, Lucy, be like, yeah, you can't hold that. And one guy, which I thought was sort of ingenious, just held it behind his back the entire time.
Lucy, I want to recreate that moment for you. I'll be the drunk guy with my beer that's not a sponsor of this show. I wanted to drink my beer and talk about the Thundercats. What's wrong with that?
If you don't put that beer down, I can't interview you. You have to talk to them like a toddler because they're a drunk, 25-year-old. They're like, I can't.
But
Why can't I do it?
I love my beer, though, and I love the Thundercats. I got some good stuff on the Thundercats.
I'll go talk to your friends instead, and then immediately they put the beer down.
I don't want that.
That's brilliant. I will. You ever hit him with, I will turn this car around right now?
Yeah,
that is a good one.
That's a good one.
Count to 3.
Well,
1.
I'm going to count to 3.
2.
I'll time you. How
2 and a
long?
half.
How quickly can you put your beer down?
They're going to steal my Thundercat takes over there. That's what Jebediah's does. He's always taking my takes.
I like that this is taking place in the Righteous Gemstones universe.
Yes, it's an historic night, ain't it?
Anyway, Dallas.
Did you become British at the end?
I did. Dallas, Kyrie Irving returns to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, you are noted Bostonian and avowed Celtics fan.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie obviously had a very rough exit from Boston. He had some moments coming back to Boston, saging the court, one of the more high-profile of those. How do you think he's going to be received by the crowd?
Very poorly.
Oh.
I do not think that this man will have a warm welcome in Boston. In fact, I think it's going to be pretty cold. I think the boos are going to be louder than we've heard in years for anybody in that arena. I personally, as a basketball fan, not as a Boston Celtics fan, I think what Kyrie has done this year has been incredibly impressive. I think he's truly.
No, but I like he's as a basketball fan. As a Celtics fan, I think he sucks.
No, not even as a Celtics fan. I think that Kyrie's ability, that having gone in there, bought into the team, been such a great teammate. In his interviews, I haven't seen him smile this much ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like even last night when Ernie said, he brought it up. He was like, you're going back to Boston. And Kyrie said, yep, Boston's just standing in our way for our goal. Like he has bought into being a different version of himself. which makes me feel a little bad in some ways for how much hate he's going to get when he goes back there.
Like, it doesn't matter. All the growth he's made. And he talked about it in his
There won't be a
post-game
singular voice in the Boston stands in the TD Garden saying, wait, guys, he's actually done a lot of work on himself.
Yeah,
let's give him a break.
Like, relax, guys. Hey, guys, come on.
I also think
He's grown.
I also think that saging the court was one of the funnier things I've.
What?
Like that's you have to get as a Celtics fan. I saw that and I was like, okay.
There's also the moment where he stepped on the leprechaun head that
Yeah.
everyone got upset at. And it's actually a pretty cool sports photo in terms of foreshadowing. If you look at the background, they were advertising like the doubleheader on ABC or whatever that day. And there's a Dallas Mavericks logo that is overlooking that one
way.
moment. Yeah, let me see if I can find that image.
Yeah, find that
Oh
image.
my God.
Now, Charlotte, I was trying to think, like, who in the league would garner the most negative attention from the Boston crowd? Would it be Jimmy Butler?
No,
Is it-
Kyrie's
Kyrie's number one on the list. Over LeBron,
Public
over-
enemy number one. Yes, but because people were, I think, skeptical when he went to Boston in the first place, and then it was just such a disaster, and the way it left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I think that, and maybe come to think of it, I mean, part of his success now makes it hurt that much more. It's like, oh, you couldn't have done this when you were in Boston.
Right. And the reality is he couldn't because his approach and his mindset was different. And like Mike said, Mike was joking, but he's right. The dude, you grow, you learn from experiences, you mature in the same way that I'm sure people in Dallas, although it's not quite the same volume of hate, but they look at Porzingis and they say, oh, you couldn't do this here? You can just spot up and play great defense and that's it? So, like, there's different levels. And we've got the image now on the screen of Kyrie. There it is.
Wow.
And it says, it's a Dallas Mavericks logo, and it says next.
Whoa.
And he was in a Nets jersey then, so technically it's right. He's in Boston, and the next team he'll play for are the Dallas
That's
Mavericks.
some basketball god stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Kyrie in Boston is sort of what, if the Knicks had played the Celtics, what Porzingis would have been for the Knicks. But up like 10 notches because Boston just hates Kyrie. Sports radio right now in Boston is just like...
If I submit to the room over there, Kyrie Irving in Boston, is there another player in any sport at another road venue that reaches that level of volume? Now, I'm not talking about LeBron.
In American sports, because like we've had some of these moments in soccer.
Sure, whatever. Give me anything.
Okay, let me
But
think.
specific, like not like one of those things where the ultras just hate everybody who doesn't play for their team.
No, but there have been guys that go to like a bitter rival,
Yes.
and especially like a decade ago or 15 years ago.
Well, I don't want to go too far. I want
like when
like
Figo went to Real Madrid.
Jose Urena is pitching against the Marlins today.
is he going to get a cold reception?
I would think
Like,
frosty cold.
do you remember
ice cold even?
I remember when John Rocker like said that stuff about New York.
Yeah.
And
then
he made an appearance in New York.
Yeah. He had to pitch at Yankee Stadium, right? But again, that's old. You could say LeBron
I think
going
it
back
was
to
Shea
Cleveland.
Stadium.
No,
but
no,
same.
no, because he said it about the Mets, but then he was with the Braves and they played against the Yankees in the
World Series.
In the World Series,
Gotcha.
yeah. It's funny because all the examples we think of seem to be really old ones. LeBron going back to Cleveland and John Rocker going to
It's crazy that LeBron going back to Cleveland was an old one.
That's,
But yeah.
that's
I know.
a super old one now.
Want
over
to
a
feel
decade
old?
ago.
I remember when LeBron went back to Cleveland.
Yeah, they were throwing batteries
I'm
at him.
going to tell you how old that is. It's so old that freaking Anthony Edwards was like 9 years old when that happened.
It's crazy.
Like, think about that. He was a literal child who didn't even know what was going to happen with his life. And now he's incredible.
Even when you think that, like, 2014 was 10 years ago. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Tom Brady?
It's weird because like it's 2016 all over again.
In Boston?
No, he got like a hero's welcome.
Yeah, everyone was, like, booing their own team and, like, kissing Tom's feet.
Caitlin Clark
Which was weird.
anywhere. Caitlin Clark in Chicago?
Ooh, Lucy. The Smetty Lucy Bowl on Saturday. The Sky and the Fever.
I can't wait.
ESPN.
I have been having a bad time watching all the Fever games. Just terrible time all around. It's not fun. So I'm on the Kate Martin train. Go Aces.
So, Lucy, we talked about Sky versus Fever. How has your experience watching Caitlin Clark thus far in the WNBA gone? Has it gone as expected, way worse than expected, way better than expected?
I think it's gone as expected. I expected her to struggle earlier in the season. I think Diana Taurasi put it perfectly. Like, it's a big adjustment. Also, there's such a short period between the national championship game and playing in the W, so she had pretty much zero time to adjust. The Fever together have practiced like 4 or 5 times. So I didn't expect her to come in and put up numbers like she did at Iowa. I never expected her to do that in the WNBA period. I think she's played really well. She's broken rookie records already. The thing that's tough is she won all the time at Iowa, and it was awesome, and it kicked ass. The Fever are just bad, and I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the head coach. Christy, I wanted to give you a chance, girly, but she hurts me deeply. She hurts me deeply because just a few games ago against the Storm, not last night against the Storm, Caitlin led this amazing comeback. This girl, she is on a roll. You know what Christy does? She says, sit down. Every single time that Caitlin gets on a roll, every single time that anyone on the Fever has any momentum, Christy's like, you know what? I think it's a good time for a break. I think we should just chill out. And then last night is the flip side of it. The Fever are dealing with a ton of injuries right now. People like who aren't able to play. And Caitlin played the entirety of the game. I think she sat for like 40 seconds. They lost by like 30 points. There was no reason for Caitlin to play every single minute of that game. I just don't understand the moves she's making. And when you're in a much more competitive league and the talent level is so higher, like coaching just means a lot more. And I just don't think she's great, but I think Caitlin has been awesome. I think she's doing really well. She had 20 points last night, 30 against the Sparks. She's starting to find a range. She's talking a lot of shit. She's getting teed up quite a bit. I'm enjoying it.
You know what? I saw just the other day some media availability video. She looks tired.
She seems so
exhausted,
sad.
right? Like it was just like drained by everything.
Think about the schedule that she had. So she led her team to the national championship game. A week later, she is at the WNBA draft. I think 14 days after that was their first preseason game, and then she has not had a break since. The Fever have played more games than any other WNBA team. She is exhausted. Like, she has not had a minute to breathe in well over a year.
And she might have Olympics added to her slate.
I mean,
oh, wow.
To me, the stark difference, I just remember seeing her on draft night, right? And she's being interviewed. She's gone through the whole thing, and she said, it's going to be a hot ticket. And she said it with this bravado that I loved. She was owning what she was bringing to the league, how much she knew that her presence there was driving ticket sales. And there's a weariness to her now that I think I'm like, I miss the fresh Caitlin who had that spark to her.
Well, Lucy highlighted the schedule that they've had, but from an
crazy.
emotional standpoint, they've been at this fever pitch, not just the players themselves. The Indiana Fever, but fans of Caitlin, they've been revving so high, and there hasn't been a single off-season moment for them to kind of decompress and even really enjoy the ride because they're still on the ride. The one break that they would have would be during the Summer Olympics, and that will just somehow add more pressure to it because she'll be on a team once again that's expected to win.
She's 22 years old. I think that's something we forget in all this. She's 22 years old. She's very young. Her frontal lobe isn't even fully developed yet.
I know, same. Jess, I want to talk about the Sky, though, because Angel Reese, she's only the second player in WNBA history to have 24 offensive rebounds through her first 5 games.
Leading the league.
Yeah. That's
she's playing really well. Chris, I mean, you've been watching every game too.
Chris,
I know.
you're a Sky fan too.
Yep.
And the
Sky
Sky
till I die.
also have had a few pretty key injuries. And last night, Angel and Marina Mabry were in foul trouble pretty early in the game. And if that is the key for the Sky, those two cannot be in foul trouble. But they were able to still pull off a win against a pretty, not great Sparks team. So I think tomorrow will be a really highly anticipated matchup between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark because of the rivalry from the national championship game last year and this year's Elite 8 game, which I'm excited for.
I have goosebumps. Those ratings, too. It's just amazing, what this rivalry has done for making people watch. It's so cool.
I'll be honest, I've felt left out because the NBA playoffs have been going, and it's more important because it's the playoffs and that's the regular season. So I haven't been able to tap in. One of the things that's going to be nice to start I guess tomorrow is let me catch some of these games. Let me see. Let me watch how they're defending her, how she's adjusting. Is her handle too high?
That high dribble, like Greg Cody says.
I think the thing that I've noticed, so like every Fever game has been on national TV,
Yes.
it feels like. So I think I've watched every single game this year. They played 9 games, which I think is the most of any other team, which Lucy already said. But the Fever's offense, now that Temi Fagbenle is out, has had to go small. And even when she was healthy, she really stood out as someone that helped their offense in transition get down the court. And now that she's out, I mean, they're going to have to make a lot of adjustments. It seems like they don't really have any offensive rhythm or any offensive identity, and they're just kind of every single possession is a new adventure. And I'm just very curious to see the adjustments that they make, because she's going to be out for a few weeks. And it's just bad timing with the condensed schedule to have an injury to a key player like that it's already bad for the Fever, and I feel like it just got worse.
And their defense is just straight up bad.
Yeah.
It's just straight up bad.
Every Fever, every offensive possession, I'm just sort of like, you're like, oh, let's see what happens. And sometimes, it's brilliant. Like, there are these flashes of brilliance. And I wonder, Lucy, if being used to Caitlin winning at Iowa, I wonder if this season, we'll see if maybe they have an unbelievable run all of a sudden. But I wonder if this will make it that much sweeter when she does get into that rhythm in the pros.
Yeah, and there's that stat that's every WNBA team that's had the number 1 draft pick consecutive years has gone on to win the title 4 years later. So there's still an adjustment period. You have to think about how young this team is, because it's centered around Caitlin, who's 22, and Aaliyah Boston, who is 23. They're a young team. It's going to take time to adjust. Also, Caitlin kind of plays at a pace that's very different than everyone else. That was something I was sort of surprised about, because at Iowa she was always moving faster than everyone else on the court, but she was significantly better than everyone else at the court. So I kind of thought that when she got to the W, she would have more talent around her and they would be able to sort of anticipate her. And there's still really not that rhythm or flow yet, because I saw someone put together a compilation of Caitlin's most beautiful assists that were missed.
Yes.
That were just people.
The Lovedales.
Yeah, it made me so sad. So there's still that lack of rhythm there, but I think they'll figure it out. Maybe not till later. It's also worth noting they have played the most games, but they've also played probably the toughest schedule out of anyone so far.
Aaliyah Boston actually is the same age as Caitlin Clark. She went pro younger. So it's a very young, two-headed monster of stars on that team. But Kate Martin, we do need to mention, getting some big minutes for the Aces, the defending back-to-back champions. And I remember, Lucy, Iowa fans saying how Caitlin Clark, what she was able to achieve at Iowa without any other WNBA talent on her team, made it more impressive. How has that narrative changed now that Kate Martin has had such a huge start to her WNBA career?
I never said that, by the way. I never said that. I have always loved Kate Martin. Something that's it doesn't answer your question even a little bit, but Kate Martin has been my favorite story in the WNBA this year, because her entire career has completely changed. So her freshman season at Iowa, she tore her ACL 2 days before the season was supposed to start. She was kind of like a role player. She wasn't super active. Caitlin came and made Kate so much better. Caitlin asked Kate to stay for a 6th year. If Kate had not stayed, she would not have ever made the W. She was headed to a coaching track. So she wasn't supposed to be a top 15 draft pick, so she wasn't invited to the draft, but Caitlin invited her to the draft as her guest. So she was there to support Caitlin, ends up getting drafted to the best team in the league. She goes to the Aces. No one thinks she's going to make the roster. Not only does she make the roster, her jersey is sold out. Everybody loves her so much, and she's playing amazing. She's making the most of all her minutes, and I just love her. I'm so happy for her.
That's, by the way, that's not a small feat to make the roster, because WNBA cuts are notoriously tough. Probably NFL is the closest comp, and even then, you don't see first-round picks or second-round picks getting cut in the NFL before the season is over.
Yeah, and Daisha Fair was the player they drafted ahead of Kate, and she just got cut. And you're on the most talented roster in the entire W, and she made it. And she's playing really well. Against the Fever a few games ago, she had 12 points. She was the best Iowa player on the court.
This is also so, as you said, Lucy, she was on a coaching track. They were still talking about that, in the national championship. They were like, Kate Martin, great player, going to be an amazing coach someday. And then she's only at the draft, as you said, and she ends up getting drafted. I also love, we need to give a shout out to our girl Jan Jensen, the new Iowa head coach, who is married to Kate Martin's aunt. And we finally got the courtside picture of Kate hugging her aunt, and Jan was there, and made me very happy.
So cute. The whole game, Jan was just in the front row filming like this, like a proud parent. I love her.
Good.
I love that we had extended WNBA talk. I love where we're at. So let's get Jerry Seinfeld to take us back to another time. You guys see this? See this little snippet of a video?
We're not going to talk Trump, are we?
What happened to
I mean,
Trump?
what's there to say? He's a big old loser.
Yeah.
That's not true. You're the loser.
Well, it's just
Even the Pistons didn't lose as much as Trump lost.
well, it's unprecedented times.
Yes.
Unprecedented.
34.
I feel like
felony
the times
counts.
at this point are pretty precedented.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
I mean, but even for the precedent,
yeah,
this
but
is
also,
new.
like,
This is a new one.
Okay, fair.
This is a new
Do you
one.
guys have a lot of like, this doesn't even matter people in your life?
Yes.
I have, yeah. Every time I open up social media, it's like no one's mind has changed by this, and that's all cool. Like,
But did they see the memes? The,
The memes
memes
were great.
mattered. I'm sorry. If
The
nothing else, I laughed yesterday for the first time in years.
It felt amazing. It was also, to be fair, there are polls that say undecided vote. Like, there are people who said they won't vote for him if he's convicted.
I love the fact that it's someone in 2024 is still like, Coke or
Yeah.
Pepsi.
No, like for me personally, like I think I am approaching this with a lot more, like I'm a lot more chill, but it could also be resignation to whatever's coming. The fact that I fear what the ruling class is going to be, and I'm just maybe putting myself in a mindset. But I think what was so hard for me during the first term was I would just watch evening news and I would convince myself, no, this is actually real life. This is happening. Surely other people should be able to see that this is not normal behavior. This is not good. This is really bad. This is bad for democracy. And I would spend 4 years working myself up. And then I thought when January 6th happened, I'm like, surely everyone sees it now. And then it didn't happen. And people just got further
Well,
entrenched.
it happened for like a day. Like
A day where we're like, okay, the Republican, and then they try to crown DeSantis, and then they realize, well, he's not going to win, so let's just back the same horse. And
them boots ain't worth walking.
right. So like that moment, that moment, the tipping point where like someone's mind would be changed if they were pro-Trump or whatever, like that came and went. So that's more of the same. But I would say like in a vacuum, like forget like, okay, you want to think that the this was highly politicized and this was meant to hurt Trump, even though I'm pretty sure if you asked the Biden administration, what is your preference here? They probably didn't want this at all because it helps galvanize the base, and he's getting more campaign dollars for it. So I don't actually – that theory doesn't necessarily hold water because we've all like workshopped the theory that this is probably good for him in his base in the long run. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but hearing all these politicians talk about this is unfair. The whole system is rigged and all that. And no one in a vacuum, like the party of core values and return to everyone's just kind of ignoring that none of this happens if he doesn't pay off the adult film star side piece.
No, I don't think anyone's saying like this is a frivolous case, right? Like it's not frivolous. It's just I like you said, I think the worst case scenario is it makes the people who are going to vote for him vote even harder, right?
Right.
But
But
go
like
Thundercats and go Trump. Like,
facts haven't mattered.
Put your beer down to me.
But
No.
the one thing that wasn't up for debate was like the incident, like
Oh, no,
patient, the whole patient zero of it all wasn't up for and there's all this moralizing about like a president's son and Hunter Biden and all that, and we just like totally friggin' gloss over like how this whole thing even came to be. Not that it matters to me. Like people live their private lives. He very clearly has a different type of relationship, but I juxtapose that with the overall message. And it's just there's no consequences for anything. None of anything matters.
Because the baseline is hypocrisy. The baseline is if you know our guy can do whatever, but your guy can't do anything. I think for me, my favorite headline to come out of this was if Trump goes to prison, the Secret Service goes with him.
damn.
That's insane.
That's a hell of a
crazy
detail.
That was
detail.
an actual headline in the New York Times.
Wilkins,
My mom told me, she was like, do you know the Secret Service is going to go to prison with him? And I was like,
It's probably the best way to go to prison, no doubt.
Wilkins, come into my office. How's it going, sir? Got a big job for you. Oh, I've been working so hard. I'm so excited. Finally, you guys trust me with the highest of honors. You're going to San Quentin. What? Da-da-da-da-da.
the zoom in
Your
on the
objective, toilet wine.
Turlet wine.
All of this is pretty absurd. I saw like clips of a social media posting of Don Jr. and he's like, that all happened so quick, and he poked fun at Hunter Biden's sister-in-law and how quickly they got together. Like he was having a go at Hunter Biden for his relationship with his sister-in-law after his brother died. And I'm like, okay, you're having a go at somebody for not being adulterous?
There's just no logic. You just can't even look at any of it through the lens of this makes sense. I feel like I have very little to say because, I mean, MSNBC is like, oh, the legal system works. And yeah, okay, not for everybody all the time, but there's also, I guess the jurors, they had people who get their news from Truth Social and they decided he was guilty. So.
I was drinking the jury is so important Kool-Aid because I had jury duty last week. Ooh. And I sat there in the freezing cold jury pool room in the Miami-Dade County Courthouse, and they were like, we know you don't want to be here, but you are so important. And I was like, me?
This is your civic duty,
And then
Jess.
they played My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 on a monitor for us.
Was that to weed people out?
You would think. No, that was just to entertain us.
How was it?
It was not a good movie. What? I'm not going to lie.
Is no sound captions on?
No, there was sound. It was really loud. And
that
I couldn't listen to my podcast because of it. And they also they leaned all the way into the dad being like, everyone's Greek, you're Greek, everyone, Jesus was Greek, we're all Greek, and then leaned very hard into the daughter not wanting her daughter to go away for school and becoming like her parents and wanting her to stay close to home. So
whoa,
that was how jury duty was.
Hi, honey, how was work? I gotta go away on a trip. Another trip? Where are they sending you now? San Quentin. It'd be real funny if he cheated on her on a business trip. That Secret Service guy.
Oh, come on.
How does he the
Prison
bunks
sex.
work out? I don't. Well, he's got to have a suite. Have you ever seen the internet talk about this is what a prison looks like in Norway? And you're like, wow,
oh, yeah,
it's amazing.
Oh my God, have you ever seen Pablo Escobar's prison cell?
Yeah, well, I saw Narcos too. They had an open gym.
I do the Norwegian prison thing. I have looked into that.
I've been
in
to
case?
prison before. Go on. Yeah, I got to. So when I was in college, I interned at a local TV station, and they had me do a story in the prison. And so I went to the prison. Everyone was really nice to me the whole time I was there. I had to do a story at a high school earlier that week, and they were not nice to me. They were much nicer to me at the prison. It didn't seem like a nice place.
You know why? You know why they were mean to you in the high school and nice to you in the prison? Because they all thought you were in high school. So the high school kids thought you were just a peer, shut up. And the prisoners were like, oh, it's a little high school kid.
But I had a microphone.
I have a jail story. I went on a field trip one day, and it wasn't prison. It was actually, this building's no longer around. It's near Allapattah. It's not functional. Mm-hmm. But I went there, and in the middle of the field trip, there was just a whole commotion. And it turned out that Dennis Rodman and Carmen Electra were getting booked that day.
Wow.
Yeah, I was at
God.
that. I was at that.
Was that in the last
when
dance?
they got brought in, all this media was around, and my school bus is just driving off.
Wow. I've told this story before. I walked over the tunnel that Princess Diana died in an hour before that action happened. I was in France. I was walking.
I feel like that's something that it was a week, but
No.
now it's gotten to be an hour.
It was that night. It was that night. It was that night.
How do you know?
He actually walked over it
she died
10
the
years
next day?
later.
Because because the next day it was all over the news. I was like, oh shit! I literally walked that way, walking home from the Champs-Élysées.
Speaking of France, French Open's going on right now, and I'm really ready for it because I recently watched Challengers with Lucy.
Yes.
How was that?
I liked it.
Mike described it, I think, the best description I could tell from just having seen the trailers.
Tennis Wild Things.
Yes. That's what it looks like.
Well,
to
that
me.
was what it was marketed as. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard firsthand accounts, and I'm curious to hear this combo review. I had a friend that watched it and said it's actually a really good movie. There's clearly a lot of tennis metaphors. I'm I've seen that with Match Point before, but he's actually his whole takeaway was the marketing campaign did this film no service.
I don't know. I thought I wanted to see it. I thought it was going to be a sexy tennis movie, and it was a sexy tennis movie. And the stakes were so high the entire time. I was like, what's going to happen next? And then the movie ended, and I was like, I actually don't know what the stakes were.
Oh,
I'm
so it's
no,
The Bear.
Yeah.
Ha ha!
I
I think the marketing campaign worked in that. I
Yeah.
was like, I have to see this. But then when I was watching it, I was like, this trailer almost has nothing to do with what the actual like story through line is of the movie, unless I'm misremembering the trailer and all I'm thinking about is everyone kissing.
How much tennis is actually in it?
A fair
a lot,
amount of
a lot.
tennis.
So-
Way more tennis than sex.
So the actors actually had to learn, or were they already
Yes,
pretty good tennis players?
I'm glad you asked that, Amin, because Zendaya said that she was like, it was very hard to play tennis. And she said what she ended up just copying the moves of her stunt double. More, I felt like more as if it was a dance than if it was, because she was like, this is, also, tennis is so hard.
Did the tennis players in the movie like tennis at all?
Yeah.
That's like, so that's not real.
Yeah.
Tennis players hate
Well,
tennis.
one of them hated it, sort of.
So one of my good friends is Prim Suripapat. She was an ESPN anchor, but before she was in media, she was a tennis player. She was one of she went to IMG. She's friends with all that class of great tennis players, and then she tore ACL 800 times, and that was pretty much the end of it. And that's why she had to transition to media. But the stories that she tells of as a 14-year-old, how these kids were living, it's insane because it is such a lonely ass sport. And I would say, I know you guys are into golf, but it feels to me that tennis is even lonelier than golf, right?
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
I think they're similar.
I think in golf, though, at least you have your caddy out there with you. Like tennis, when you're alone at the baseline, you're like, ugh.
I also think they're similar in that a lot of team youth sports are like this now too, which has been a change over the last 10 years. But if you're like a tennis or a golf prodigy when you're super young, you're probably leaving home and going to school for it.
That's Prim. Prim's from Missouri, but at age 12 or whatever, she got recognized, and then she moved. It was her and her mom, and they left her dad and her siblings in Missouri, and they went and lived in Florida.
Zandaya's character is kind of that is like her trajectory in this.
I understand that golf is a hard sport and there is competition.
Right.
You're not staring down Tiger Woods directly across from you, but it is a little I can understand why you're like, I'm never going to be good enough when Serena Williams is firing serves at you, whereas how am I going to navigate this longer grass?
But the other thing, Mike, is that if you're in tennis, how many times have we watched these majors, and it's you're an upstart and you're playing against Serena or you're playing against Nadal or whatever, and the crowd is like, man, we came here for the hits.
Yeah.
And it's guys, I'm here. Can I at least?
Yeah.
There's
Whereas in golf, it's easy to dig yourself out. I'm a developmental talent. If you're a developmental talent in tennis, you're getting low draws. And you're not – some careers are just DOA because people can't get out of these draws because they don't have an opportunity to make themselves better. Whereas golfers, they can enter these tournaments and they just got to worry about their own game and improve
All
on their
relevant to the
timeline.
plot of the film, I think.
Wow. You know what I did think the film did very well? I read a few reviews that were it was vapid. I didn't think it was vapid. First of all, I think we need more movies that are fun to watch, and this was really fun to watch.
Charlotte,
I
exactly.
had a great
It was entertaining.
time
I
watching.
was entertained.
I was like, I don't need this movie to teach me a lesson. I just want to have a good time watching this movie. And it kept me with it the whole time. I was like, it's funny, it's clever. It was very campy, stylized. And I think one thing that it did tackle very well was the emotional. No. Oh. What? Oh God. Ugh.
Too soon?
I wish there were more explosions.
Was there
if I'm being
tennis
honest.
symbolism? Because in Match Point,
Yes,
spoiler
but-
alert, there's it builds a crescendo where a wedding band
Was
is
there tennis
Was there
symbolism?
Does she say
Please.
tennis is a relationship? She does. I do think, though, that something they did well was the pain of being an athlete and your career ends early due to injury. And it actually psychologically exploring that, I thought, was a more deeper element of the film than maybe the...
Would this classify as a sports movie? When
for
there's
sure.
sports movie rankings, this is a tried
I
and
would
true
say
sports
Challengers and Bottoms, two best sports movies that I've seen in the last 5 years.
Bottoms surprisingly good.
didn't see it yet.
I went in
movie. I've never heard of Bottoms. What is Bottoms?
I went in all right, let me just watch this. I'm on a flight, and by the end of it, I was like, this is great, man. It's a funny movie.
It was severely
Wait,
underrated.
Yeah.
what is Bottoms?
It's a movie.
No, I gathered
It's
that.
a football
but
movie.
It's a
Never
football
heard
movie.
It's on Amazon Prime. You should watch. I don't want to
Is it
spoil.
a new movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Came out last-
2023?
It came out last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Ayo Edebiri and Rachel Sennett are the two main.
Is Molly Gordon in it, too?
I don't.
Gotta Google those names.
Well, Ao is the girl from The Bear.
Molly
Oh,
Gordon,
yeah.
Molly Gordon is
She does good
the
voice work.
manic
Yes,
pixie
she
dream
does.
girl from
She
the
does
Bear.
for.
I'm not a big bear guy, if you can tell.
Is she in it? I don't know, Shar.
I'm gonna Google it.
It's
It's
a
a
funny
football
movie.
movie.
It's not a football movie.
I mean,
Yes, it
I
is.
get the appeal of the bear.
The climax of the movie is a football game. It's
I
it's
guess
a sports movie,
I would say it's a Fight Club movie. It's like Fight Club.
which is
Wow.
also a sport.
This poster that we put up there, thank you very much.
Marshawn Lynch is in it. It's a football movie.
This looks
and
like
Nicholas
AI.
Galitzine is in it.
What?
Did Nicholas Galitzine? Did anyone watch The Idea of You?
No.
They I'm
Bad
into
movie.
you. Yeah, not good. He's good though.
Did you see they're making an exact replica of that movie on Netflix? The exact same plot
With Nicole Kidman and who's on it?
Zac Efron. Just
Netflix.
like a
What was
aged
that noise
version.
for Zac Efron?
Just that as the young pop star, Nicholas Galitzine set the bar so high.
Oh, is this that Anne Hathaway movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's a lot of. I have a lot of. I have a
Different
lot of.
entry points for different folks.
I have a lot of friends that are my age that want to see that movie that are girls.
Again, had a good time watching it.
It sounds vapid.
Still hung up on Vapid, huh?
Yeah. So like the bear, and I know I gave this show a shot. I couldn't
It's all right.
anymore. Like the second season, I'm just like, okay, so this is just every episode.
Yeah.
You're just gonna try to trigger me, and like it's just food, guys.
This is what I think. Honestly, like it's an okay show, but it's a show that speaks to a demographic that a lot of people have been in, which is people work in restaurants. And so anyone who's ever worked in a restaurant is like, oh my God, the bear. But like for me, who's never worked in food service, like, okay, like I get it, you're stressed. Like
I've worked in restaurants and it's not that stressful. Like, it's just not.
Cody, the most.
You're on the line. Well, it's just I found myself guilty of this, and like I got called out on it. I'm like, damn, I got to check myself there because
before you wreck yourself.
well, because anytime you have to have a take,
really important.
Anytime you have to have a take about like these shows that enter the pop culture discussion, you have to feel passionately about it. And everyone was like so pro bear that I was like, well, I don't like that show. I think it's bad. And someone called me out on it, and they're like, no, it's just okay. Like a lot of what's on streaming today, it's just okay. You don't need to have this opinion about it. And I'm like, you're right. I cared so little that I just got up in the middle of a season and said, no more. Honey, you can watch it.
Jessica, you're pro bear, aren't you?
I am pro bear, but I do have some
Get it? 'Cause she's from
issues with the show and with the team.
Well, she's bullish.
And I'm excited to see them on Hard Knocks and see
Okay.
how these rookies start meshing with
Oh,
one
dude, I'm
another.
back.
have a question.
I'm back
I
for
never-
Caleb Williams.
Wasn't it the
oh.
Giants?
I thought it was too. Did I get
Didn't
ball
they-
sacked?
Did
There's-
I think
there's
have
an extra
Wait, so
Hard Knocks this season.
are they? There's 2 Hard Knocks?
It's like an off season.
I
get
think it was
Danny
like-
Dimes still? Because I
think it
really
was like
wanted that.
An off-season Giants and then a training camp Bears and then an in-season whoever.
Oh, I'm in on Caleb.
Wait,
Williams.
Unless that wasn't real.
No,
Which
I thought
knocks
it was
are
real, too.
harder?
May
I-
15th, Hard Knocks off season with the New York Giants will debut in July 2nd.
No, I want training
so
camp
it's-
So
Giants.
the training camp will be with the
Wait,
Bears
wait,
off
we're
season.
gonna-
So it's like all the draft stuff, like everything
In
happening
July?
right now with the Giants.
Yeah, so
yeah,
you're
do
getting
we
it
get the
earlier.
sprinklers in July?
Will Darren Waller be in Hard Knocks?
Well, that's actually what I'm interested in their off season.
yeah.
I can't imagine Darren Waller showing up. Darren, what can I talk now?
Yeah.
Darren Waller showing up to Giants OTAs, and they're like, "Hey, man, you good?" And he's like, "Oh,